Councillor Lumley, thank you. All in favor?
Thank you.
Carried. Just a reminder that the meeting is being filmed for anyone who doesn't wish to be shown on film. Just stay away from the camera that's back there. So we have one delegation, Matt Thompson from Sunshine Coast Housing Community. I'm going to talk to us about progress with respect to that committee and that community land trust. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. So no PowerPoint today. I just wanted to speak briefly about the two-page report that was submitted, I believe, last month's Committee of the Whole meeting, and just speak to that a little bit. At this point, the Community Land Trust is ready to incorporate. We have a full board. We have a constitution and bylaws. So really, I'm here to sort of get approval from all of the local governments that some of my hours will be used towards building the capacity of that organization over the next 6 months to get it up and sustainable by the year end when the terms of reference for the Housing Committee are finished. So it'll kind of be the transition from the Housing Committee into the Land Trust. So the use of my hours would be largely dedicated toward grant writing and sort of capacity building internally, and also working with the board to set out some strategic priorities for the next couple of years with regards to housing and the direction of the Land Trust. We've already had the first informal meeting of the board to review the constitution bylaws and discuss the getting charitable status for the organization, which would probably take about 6 months. So that's another item on the to-do list. So essentially, you know, we're really lucky because we're going to start off as an organization with an existing asset. Coast Housing has offered 23 units that they currently have for family housing in Seychelles. Their board is aging out and ready to kind of hand things off, and so they're gonna pass that along to the Land Trust as a starting point. We also have some great recommendations from a consultant's report that we worked on through the Housing Committee in partnership with Community Services about how to acquire some smaller sort of scattered site units and have that be other assets that can be slowly built over time. So I'm happy to take any questions about the Land Trust or the Housing Committee in general. I think what's required out of this meeting, I'm not sure what the process is, but both the SCRD and the District of Seychelles made a move to approve the use of that 20 hours per month, approximately 1/3 of the coordinator time, to be put into the Land Trust and build the capacity of that organization.
Okay, thanks, Matt. So I think you probably answered it already. Then a question I had was, what, you know, the Housing Committee, then you see that being phased out as this Land Trust takes over, am I correct?
In terms of asking local government for ongoing funding, yes. What I'd like to actually see happen is the Housing Committee rolled into the Land Trust, so have it be an ongoing place where there can be some information sharing between local governments and with other stakeholders, but it wouldn't be funded by local government anymore. It would be an operation of the Land Trust itself.
Councillor Sanjay.
Thanks for coming today, Matt, and for the report. I just had one question on the report and wondered if you could elaborate on the sustainability of the trust once it gets going. So you mentioned that as new housing is developed, revenue streams will become a part of the whole model and help to keep it sustainable. And I wondered if you could comment on what some of those revenue streams are, just for my own learning, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we'll have an existing small revenue stream and asset through the 23 units that we'll receive, and that's going to pay for the ongoing maintenance, and they have a building manager for that, so there would be no change in the way that building is managed. What we see as another potential revenue stream is the acquisition of these apartments. So making affordable rentals available on the coast, sort of secure affordable rentals. One unit doesn't bring a lot of revenue, but we figure about $2,500 per year from each sort of one-bedroom unit would be directly going into the coffers of the Land Trust. Other revenue streams that we're looking at in the short term include gaming grants, so that can be used towards operations for the Land Trust. We're looking at real estate foundation sort of capacity building grants. The credit union and Van City are both very interested in potentially funding larger scale projects. So, you know, over the long term, or sort of medium to long term, as we look at slightly larger developments, those would be able to generate significant revenue for the land trust. We'd operate essentially as a housing society in some ways, but if we go the rental route, then the rental revenue will be a main revenue stream for the land trust. And if we move towards affordable ownership, which is another component, then the actual purchasing of the units from the land trust by the owner residents would be another revenue stream. So those are the sort of two main sources of revenue for a housing society as it stands. I think we'd also be looking pretty hard at social enterprise. I think SCACL has done some great work, and that's part of what I think we'll be working on as a board in terms of the strategic planning, is thinking about innovative sort of social enterprise revenue streams as well.
Can you remind me of when the Housing Society's term expires?
I believe that the terms of reference end at the end of this year. We have funding or we have enough funds to carry the committee on to the end of the year.
Right, okay, so this request for the time to be allocated to the Community Land Trust is really to see out the rest of its
Exactly. Yeah.
Term.
Yeah.
What does the constitution or proposed constitution of the society say with respect to disposition of its assets in the event of winding up?
I'd have to go back and look at the language. It's the last clause in the Constitution touches on the disposition if anything happens, and I think it's fairly standard sort of boilerplate language for that particular piece. I think we haven't submitted the Constitution and bylaws, so if there's a concern around that, we could revisit it as a board.
Yeah, I would. A boilerplate would probably be that the assets could be distributed to another society of similar objectives and that sort of thing is most likely what it's going to say. Just make sure that, I'm sure you guys are going to do is make sure you're aware of that, because otherwise it may just default to the problems or something.
Right. No, I think we do have language that it can be distributed to another society.
Okay. Councillor Sanjanko?
Matt, I just have a couple more comments. One is, I certainly hope, and I know I've probably mentioned this already, but that you have a conversation with David LePage with regards to social enterprise. And I can forward you his contacts. That he's doing some great work still in Vancouver and kind of the father of social enterprise for Canada. And I just wanted to comment that I think too, like the way that I see it, once this trust, this vehicle is set up, there's so many individuals and families that they're looking for, ways to contribute back to the community and want to see their lands be used for what's needed, and there just hasn't been a way to do that. And the other thing I just wanted to say is thank you to you and the committee so far for the leadership we've all known that this has had to get going for such a long time, so it's exciting. Thank you for your work, and it's exciting to see it happening.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, and on that point, thanks to the individuals that are stepping up to be initial board members. There's certainly not people there with the background and experience to make it successful, so that's appreciated. I don't have any problem with the resolution. I'm not even sure it's necessary since you basically operate your own. The Housing Committee does what it does. I don't think you actually, strictly speaking, need our approval. I just sort of see this as a courtesy to let us know that's what you're doing. I know you said the other governments provided a resolution to that effect. Selena, do we need one?
I would recommend yes, because terms of reference for our funding wouldn't cover this.
Yeah, okay. I'd have to look at the terms of reference to be sure anyway, but anyway, there's no reason not to. But, so we'll just need a resolution then to the effect that the town concurs with the coordinators approximately 40 hours a month.
About 20 hours a month.
So 20 hours a month. The other 40 is with the society, right?
Yeah.
So the town concurs with the coordinator devoting approximately 20 hours a month to the establishment of the community land trust. Is that essentially what we need? Councillor Sanjanko, Councillor Gonda. Anything further? All in favor then?
Thank you.
appreciate your work on that. Okay, so, any inquiries at this point? Okay. Let's move on to 4.1 now, which is the light ring project. And I think we've all read the report to start with, so I'll just see if we have any questions to start with. And if there's any application that one wants. I mean, I guess basically the town would still have to put up some of the costs for putting in the concrete and this sort of, are you seeing that as being part of the operations, or is it?
Yeah, I see that as being part of the operations. What they're asking for here is a 2-foot square pad to secure it on. What I'd like to do is see if we could secure it right onto the approach to the floats, because if something were to happen, somebody would probably run to that to run to the water. But I want to make sure that it can be good and secure there. The other thing that we would be paying for is the label that goes on to the life ring that, it's a memorial label. And thanking the BCGEU for coming up with the funds to purchase it.
Right. Do you know if, I'll come right back to Ms. Do you know if Hayden's family was consulted at all by the society?
Yes, they were. They did a ceremony at Slow Clan Lake 1 year after, and they have been consulted, and they would like to have some little thing, unveiling with the media there, and they would like to be present.
Yeah, I don't. Again, Hayden worked for me for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a really nice kid. He's very respectful. Probably one of the more, when you hire kids, he was probably one of the most respectful. I just tell him to stop calling me sir all the time. So, but as far as the plaque goes or anything, I'd be more than, I don't know, you might want to look at donations and stuff. I'd be happy to donate some money, so the town doesn't have to pay for this. And the other thing is that the concrete pad, how does that fit in with it? I know we're not there yet with farmers, but is it going to kind of be planned so that the future dock and all that expansion plans would be suitable for them?
Well, the location there, I mean, there's going to be some construction going on to replace do the revetment of that wall. That's one of the reasons why I was thinking if we could put it right on the approach. The other thing is we could put it on the other side, on the grass side, because that isn't planning, there's no plans there to be tearing that up. We've also got to be aware of there's the sewer trunk that runs through there, and if there's any work that ever needed to be done in the future, that it would have to be dug up, that we've got to factor all that into our placement. And that's one of the reasons why I figured too, if we could put it right on the approach, the wooden approach, it would probably be the best place.
I've been really, the picture wasn't very good in terms of being able to
It's
see.
orange.
Yeah. But is it got some sort of, how's it secured, I guess?
It's secured on a post. It's in a hard shell, a hard orange plastic shell.
Okay.
It's in there, and you pull it out from there. So,
All right, well, hopefully, what goes ahead, people will, I'm always worried about vandalism and the people respect what the purpose of that is, but you really govern that. Councillor Lunda?
That's my thoughts exactly. Is that maybe the signage, or if there is any, I know in here it said like warnings, like vandalism warnings and stuff. Maybe the sign, maybe at least a little sign to kind of like, instead of saying, do not, maybe just saying, hey, this is put here in memory of someone who did drown, and it's here to save lives, please, you know what I mean? Like maybe instead of having these like, warning label type signs, maybe someone will stop before they do it, thinking, maybe they got a bit of conscience. Right?
yeah. That's what I was thinking too, with that information there. That may deter some people from taking it. So the other item there too is, the Life Saving Society would like to come over, and the family does want to be there. We haven't received the item yet, and we will have to install it, and we haven't selected a date to do the ceremony. June is very, very busy. You know, we've got Jazz Festival and all kinds of stuff coming up, Canada Day. August, council is off. They're asking to have it in place by the end of September, so perhaps early September would be a good time to
Well,
have it installed and unveil it.
I don't think it matters to council. I mean,
Okay.
it's as soon as it can be done, sooner the better, quite
Okay.
frankly.
Okay.
And I think, having just heard Councillor Lumley, having had a personal relationship with this young man, I
Yeah.
think he should represent the council
Okay.
at the unveiling. Okay with that?
Okay, good.
First
Okay,
of
as soon as
September,
we
just,
get it.
that's the, I think September 1st is the.
I don't think they've set a specific date.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
So-
they want it in by the end of September,
Oh,
so
okay.
be, availability of everybody.
So, yeah, so just make sure Councillor Lumley's communicated with and the rest of council copied, but he would be the appropriate representative, I think, in the circumstances. Okay.
And, sorry, if you could give me the cost of the plaque.
Okay, I'll have
And I
to,
can run with it, cause
Yeah.
obviously I'll pitch in and I'll
Okay.
definitely, make sure I get some more support, get it paid for.
okay, I'll find that out.
Okay, so, the motion there for the recommendation there, 4.1, so Councillor Lumley, you can move that?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor St. James, second, all in favor? That's carried. Any inquiries?
You don't need a mic. I noticed the report on the street signs didn't come forward, but I have an inquiry as to regards the expenditure of $12,000 on replacing all our street signs when we don't have enough money to pave our roads and do many other things. Surely it would seem reasonable to just replace the ones that need replacing and add the new ones as we need to. And as a taxpayer, I have real questions as to why that even was brought forward.
Okay, yeah, thank you, and it's gonna be coming back for some further consideration for the committee, so we'll take that into advisement as well. Thank you for that. Okay, any other inquiries? And seeing none, I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn then. Councillor St. James, Councillor Lumley, all in favor? Here. See you tonight.
You just hit that.